So there was a bit of misreporting, I would say, that went out over the course of the end of last week going into the weekend. And I think it's important to bring up because it's really crucial that people maintain a cautious and skeptical eye for things, especially nowadays, because the economy of clicks is stronger than ever, and news outlets will be very fast and loose with headlines, with reporting based almost exclusively on like a thread, if they think that they can get something sensational out of it. So even if something is just said in passing, it can blow up into a whole story. So what was I talking about? Well, this article was shared with me. Somebody was like, bro, is this true? Intergalactic, the heretic prophet, reportedly releasing in 2026 from Insider Gaming too. Insider Gaming, Tom Henderson, the guy that runs it, does have a ton of sources, is very accurate, and does really, really good work. Tom Henderson is great. But to keep his website going, he's hired additional writers who help him write and produce articles and stuff for the website. And there have been numerous occasions where their reporting has left a lot to be desired, in my humble opinion. Like there was a case where they were saying that Assassin's Creed Shadows franchise director, a guy named Marc Alexis Cotier, where he was saying that AC Shadows was like the worst thing they'd ever made. And there was an article posted to Insider Gaming echoing this sentiment, and it's just straight up not what Mark said. In the interview that they referenced as evidence for that claim, Mark said that people who are new to game development work on projects, and when they're working on something, they go, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever done. This is the worst thing I've ever made. But then as you finish the project, they see, even if it feels dark at one point in development, eventually it comes together and you can make something amazing. But that valley is a normal thing. Development is peaks and valleys. And that's the sentiment he was going for. But it was twisted into an article that mentioned even Ubisoft says AC Shadows is the worst thing they've ever made. And everybody started running with the headline, even though it was literally fake news. It just was not true. So I tweeted out and like we called attention to it. Tom stepped in, addressed it, fixed it, shut it down. But by that point, the article had already spread across the internet, and I still see people reference that today. People still point to that. Even though it was debunked and literally based on nothing, people still point to that and go, well, even Ubisoft said it was the worst thing they ever made, when it's just literally not true. That's why standards are important. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, what? It's releasing in 2026. That goes against not just like common sense, but it also goes against other reporting. And this would be very surprising. Very surprising if it ended up being true. So I, and probably not that many other people, frankly, a lot of people just look at the headline, but I clicked on the link and it reports on this. You'll see there's an update, but we'll get to that in a second. But you can see that it references specifically a clip from the Dan Allen Gaming podcast, it's from the Dan Allen Gaming podcast with Colin Moriarty. And there is a moment where he talks about the game. Now listen to this, okay?
So I think we just have to see. I think we'll see. I believe we'll see it at the Game Awards
this year.
And yeah, I think so.
Oh, don't get me hyped, man. Shit.
And,
really? And you reckon it'll come out next year or 27?
I think next year it'll be good to go. But maybe they will delay it. But yeah, I mean, based on the way they're hiring and also things I'm hearing about, people interacting with the game, but also they're hiring for like localization now and all that. It's like they're getting into the end. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great sign. It's a sign that everything's kind of locked down and content complete. So I'm sure there's a lot of work to be done. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was out this time next year. No, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think
when did Naughty Dog usually release their games?
The Last of Us was June. The Last of Us Part 2 was June or July.
It was June, yeah.
Uncharted 1 was fall. Uncharted 2 was the winter. Uncharted 3 was November. So yeah, they release sometimes they just release when they're ready to go. And often they're releasing off of a delay. So that's what happened with Uncharted 4. That's happened with The Last of Us Part 2.
So that is what was clipped. And then from that, the report, or what the article says, is that he's reporting that it is done and we'll see it at the Game Awards. And so this goes out, gets pressed and distributed as it's been reported. Now, there is a definition for the word reportedly, which means that it has to be reported to be reportedly. What he does in this clip is literally just states his opinion. Well, like, listen to it again.
So I think we just have to see. I think we'll see. My personal
opinion, I believe
we'll see it at the Game Awards
this year.
And yeah, I think so.
Oh, don't get me hyped.
And what he proceeds to do is outline how, based on their hiring, based on these other factors, the localization starting up, he thinks it's very likely. He says, I wouldn't be surprised if it's out by this time next year. Based on those things. He's not reporting. He's not saying I have a source that says this. He's speculating, giving out his personal opinion, which is what we all do. If I come up here and I say, yeah, personally, in my opinion, I think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a mess, and I think it's not coming out until 2028, probably more like 2029. If this were the standard, it would be, insider confirms that Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out 2029 and is a disaster. And it's like, no, it's just literally my opinion. I'm just talking about, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So people started running with this, okay? People started really running with this, even though it's just speculation, and asking other journalists for comment and all this. So Jeff Grubb has to come out and say it will not be shown at the Game Awards. And you can see Clawsome Gamer tweets this out. Intergalactic Heretic Prophet is already complete in terms of content and will be shown at the Game Awards this year, says Colin Moriarty. Literally not what he said. He says, yeah, in my personal opinion, I think it could be shown at the Game Awards. It's not saying it will be. He also did not say it's content complete. He said right now they're hiring for localization, which shows they're toward this, the end, getting close to content complete, like if that's where they're actually at in development. He's not reporting that it's content complete. Like, again, it's crazy. It's crazy. But what happens is that outlets like this, I'm not familiar with Clawsome Gamer personally. Looks like a startup, the individual just trying to retweet gaming news, but this will not get you, a large following. This type of reporting, well, maybe it will. This type of reporting will not get you a lot of respect in the industry, and will not get you good sources, will not get you access to what you want, because it's just not true. It's literal fake news for clicks. It's just not accurate. So Colin, appropriately, came forward and said, I am the source of this, based on opinions I expressed on another person's podcast when asked what I thought about the game and its potential timeline. If you listen to the clip they're citing, I literally say that's my opinion, and it's otherwise blatantly obvious I'm speculating. I think we'll see, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, really? Reporting that conversation as anything else is wildly disingenuous. I don't know why outlets do this to me and many others all the time, but one thing is certain, I'm in for a lot of abuse now for no reason. Much appreciated. And yeah, it is insane. I think it's that Colin has name recognition, so there's that. I think a lot of gaming journalists also listen to a lot of what Colin says. They listen to the podcast he goes on, so they're very in tune with what is being said when he goes and says stuff. And it's also because he's sort of a polarizing figure in the industry. People who like him will be like, oh, cool, let me see what he said. And people who don't like him will see what he says. And if he's misconstrued, they could then use that as ammunition for why they don't like him. And be like, oh, yeah, no, he doesn't know anything. See, get it out of here. And so this starts spreading. Jason Schreier has to come out on, I think, Reddit, and he clarified it's not coming out in 2026, despite rumors stating that they're coming out in 2026, which at least rumors is more accurate. It's closer. It was just speculation. It's not even rumors. Like, it was just my personal opinion, but at least that's closer than saying it's confirmed. I can assure you that Intergalactic is not coming out or isn't coming out in 2026 because people familiar with the game's development timeline have told me it's not coming out in 26, which I think is, that makes sense. I thought it was shocking to think that it's coming out in 26, especially when we know that they already sort of have a big tentpole release for next fall, which is Wolverine.
9,580 donated $10 through Super Chat. Breaking news. Elder Scrolls 6 will be a generational leap for Bethesda and release date is 2032. Luke Stevens reports.
Lock it in, confirmed. Lock it in. Yeah, yeah. Dude, it low-key would be really funny if a journal or a gaming outlet or journal or whatever took a segment from stream and then tried to use it as like evidence and reporting. That would be really funny. Because it's just so stupid. Like, it's so patently ridiculous, but that's where we're at. Like, they go and they're clipping stuff like this and then running with it as if it's true, as if it's real. It's ridiculous. And again, it's fine to speculate. That's what most of us do when we're talking about games, because we don't know. This type of thing is very normal. It's fine. It's what we will do when we're chatting about games all the time.
We just have to see. I think we'll see. I believe we'll see it at the Game Awards
This year?
And
just like right now, I believe we're going to see an announcement for season 2 of Dispatch at the Game Awards. That's what I personally believe. I think that that's going to happen. It made too much money. It's too big of a hit for them to not do something. And I think especially they can go to Jeff and just say, hey, we got a little something. Can you show it? I would not be shocked at all. That's what I think. That is not me confirming that I have a source that it's going to be shown at the Game Awards. Okay. Like, it's just not. It's just not. And so all this starts spreading, all this happens, blah, blah, blah. The community notes go up and start clarifying that this is not accurate, but the damage is done, not just to Colin's credibility, unfortunately, when he literally didn't do anything wrong. Now people are going to point to this, be like, yeah, well, you said Intergalactic was coming out in 26, because they didn't see this, or they saw this headline, they kept scrolling and they forgot about it. But all they remember is this and that Colin said it. And it's just not accurate. It's just not accurate. You know, it's because what's the old saying? It's like a lie can circle the globe in the time it takes the truth to get out of bed. Something like that. Because lies can spread quickly, but the truth and the correction to it is way slower and way, way less efficient. And it's just dumb. It's bad. And again, this is not the first time this has happened with insider gaming. And Tom, if you somehow see this, like, we got to figure this out. We got to figure this out, man. Because there's now been multiple occasions, at least that I'm aware of people that work for you that are saying things and reporting things and putting headlines out that are just factually false. It was not reported at all. Putting reportedly is just journalistic malpractice. Okay, it is disingenuous, and it's I think deceptive, and it's playing with other people's reputations too, which is what's really slimy about it. So I think you got to figure this out. You got to address it and deal with it, because it's happened multiple times. I don't know if I actually wonder if I can look it up. I wonder if I can find that article where they misquoted the Assassin's Creed stuff, because I wonder if it's the same guy that they hired. It would be really interesting if it was the same dude. We'll find it. Jordan's song number was 7202 2027 backwards. So I think Naughty Dog didn't make this coincidence and knew 27 would be the release date. Well, literally, so to be clear, what they are doing is they are looking at the hiring and then inferring from that they are at a certain point in development. And so what they're effectively doing is they're saying, okay, you're hiring people that are working on localization. So they're working on like adding in new languages and reworking dialogue and stuff. And that usually happens at this stage of development. So we can infer, if they're at this point where they're hiring people to change languages and to do that they are at this point, and we can assume that based on that the game should be out at this time if we project it forward. That's at least what they're trying to do. And I can understand that, but some games are like, it takes 22 months to get the localization stuff done. Others, it can take 12 months. Others, it takes 30 months, and they start it really early. It's just all over the place. It's all over the place. But instead, like, and again, it's fine to speculate based on that. That's totally fine. The problem is when then the speculation is taken as fact, when it's just not. You know, this is it. I found it. So it was taken in this article. I think they retitled the article, because I don't think this was the original title. No, it's Brandon Morgan. It's a different guy. And he hasn't posted anything since May. He's a contributor for them. So maybe he got fired or something. But this was the thing. So yeah, in the article, so this, I had to type it out here because they edited the article, so it's lost. But in the article, you say, according to Mark Alexis Cote, the game's internal evaluation isn't promising either. The team behind Shadows considers this entry to be the weakest in the entire Assassin's Creed franchise. But he literally didn't say this in the interview that they reference, because they're pointing to this. And it's like, think for 2 freaking seconds. If he is in a public forum, why would he talk about, like, why would he talk so openly about how bad the game is? Like, what are you suggesting? Like, it's insane. And so, like, I was like, he doesn't say this. I listened to the entire hour-long talk, and he never said anything like that. And it was just false. And so you can see, again, Tom, to his credit, came in. This article originally used a report from the Outer Haven that claimed the company considers Shadows the weakest entry in the series. That has been removed due to no evidence of that being said or reported. Sorry, it's just funny because it's like there's literally no evidence that anybody ever said that, but like people are running with it. We apologize for the oversight and will ensure it does not happen again. That quote regarding junior developers remains, as that is accurate. Yeah, that smaller quote is accurate. That was not the problem. The problem was saying that he said stuff that he just never said, you know? But, and so like they can't address it when it does come up, but they gotta like get on it. And this is happening again, where something that was not said is being treated as if it was said and twisted in this way. And it's just dumb. It's just freaking dumb. And it's crazy. But I remember talking with somebody after this whole thing went down, because see, 1.2K likes, they got lots of engagement on the article. I tried to correct it because it was crazy. They had corrected it based on being called out, at least in part by me. But the damage is already done. This spreads around, and there's still people that reference that. There's still people that reference that to this day. So it's why it's so crucial that this type of thing is, it just doesn't happen, period. Editor's notes and like corrections are fine, and you need to do those, but you gotta, I mean, it just can't happen to begin with. Because again, if you're going to call out companies like Ubisoft, as they very, very often deserve to be called out, credibility is important. And once, like, we've established that occasionally you'll just run with stuff that is not true, because it fits the narrative, it means we can't necessarily take like anything you're saying confidently, because you're willing to run with fake stuff as well. I hope they address it. I hope Tom comes out and apologizes to Colin. Maybe he already has at this point, at least in private, but they gotta figure that out, because it's bad. It's bad. So there you go. That's what's going on with it. That's the deal. And now you're informed, but just a reminder, be cautious, guys, be cautious, because this type of thing, excuse me, happens a lot. It's really too bad. And you got to think critically when it comes to this stuff, because writers and outlets who are just trying to get engagement will say a lot of stuff and run very fast and loose with it, because it gets engagement, not necessarily because it's true. You know, most of the time those editors' notes come far too late, for sure. It's why I'm overly skeptical of every article and every leak. Well, yeah, well, I mean, how many people are gonna read an article like on some leak or something and then go back and just check it a week later? Like, nobody does that. You read it, you're done with it, and you move on. But like, instead what happens is, it's like, okay, literally nonsense that is based in just assertions. Nobody has any sources for any of it. And then after everybody reads it and they get lots of engagement, they're like, oh, by the way, this is totally made up. But everybody's already read the book, closed it, moved on with their day. And so it's just too little too late. So yeah. But I remember after that happened, I was talking to somebody who was involved with Ubisoft, and they were like, yeah, I mean, what if we come out and say that that's not true? Everybody then attacks us, and it's like, you're just trying to cover up for it when it is true. You're just trying to play defense. They're like, we just have to kind of sit on the sidelines and act like everything's, just don't acknowledge it, don't talk about it, when it's like patently ridiculously false. And if we go and we send, like, if we try to file a lawsuit for whatever it would be, misinformation, for libel or defamation, whatever it would be, I don't even know if they could do that, but like if we try to take legal action for them spreading falsities and stuff harming our business, then everybody attacks us also. Like, there's just no solution. There's no solution, you know? I'm not saying that they would have done that, but the point that they were trying to make is there's nothing that we can do. Like, they can just lie and make stuff up, and we can't do anything. And so, like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? And sometimes the nonsense is like positive and nice. Like the Expedition 33 stuff, they were not like 33 devs, all former Ubisoft. Like, a few of them worked for Ubisoft for a while. Most of the people working on Expedition 33 had never made a video game before. Like, their head of tech worked at an Uber competitor before working at Sandfall. Like, but the narrative and the vibe is really nice to think that they're former Ubisoft player or developers, and that their talent wasn't being utilized. And so it fits the narrative, you know, it fits the vibe. And so the story spreads. But that same type of misinformation can also be done and put out there to harm games and harm studios when they don't deserve it. Maybe that studio deserves to be bashed for other stuff, but that doesn't mean that you get to just make stuff up. He took my thing.